my lovely friends, it's Margaret, and this is a reading vlog. Hey y'all, I just wanted to come on and start this out just kind of acknowledging that, yeah, I know what the Reading Rush did, and we're going to discuss that towards the end of the vlog. I'm not ignoring it. I do still have lots of strong feelings about what they did and how I think they should have handled the situation, and how, like, I want to come at it at a place that leaves room for growth, but at the same time still holds people accountable. There's a really, really good video that Marinez from My Name is Marinez did. I'm going to link that down below because she discusses accountability and being held accountable by the community. So make sure that you check that out because I think it's a really good video and it's really thought-provoking, and it very much aligns with a lot of how I feel when it comes to public mess-ups like this. I wanted to try and do this where I mentioned the Reading Rush as little in this vlog as possible. Unfortunately, I'm like mentioning it every 30 seconds because I was planning on using this to kind of promote my channel and do kinds of stuff with that. But there are books in here that I read that I want y'all to hear about. I apologize if I look gross and sweaty. I got a nail in my tire and we had to go fix it. Well, mostly my dad fixed it. But I stood there and I handed him things because he had the upper body strength to do what needed to be done. It's already been an interesting day. Tire, got my new voter ID card, and then we had to have a discussion about that, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna rant about political things. We're not gonna do that. Anyways. Hi guys. So I know in my TBR video, if you've watched that, I said I was only reading 4 books. I was not going to try for 7, and then I changed my mind while I was editing, so that lasted about 3 hours. I filmed it, I said that, and then I changed, that was it. So no, it lasted about 5 hours. So let's discuss, well, actually first, the most important thing is not even what I'm reading, so hold on. I got this in the mail. It is not the actual crate, it is a special edition books that I ordered. You might have seen the unboxing for the first book. Ooh. Paper. More paper. Lots of paper. Look at these beauties. Oh goodness, they're so pretty. Oh, I love them. Oh. I'm not sure how I feel about the bright Dayglow orange sprayed edges on this, but let's open this up so I can actually show you these books. I got the Illumicrate editions of The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing, and I'm very happy with this. Look at that. Oop, and they do come with book plates. Hurrah! That's fantastic. Now I don't have to get these signed by Holly Black, which is great because I'm running out of, like, I don't think it would take me a lot of book cons to get all of my books signed, especially if she keeps coming out with books and I keep enjoying them. So let's discuss what I'm actually supposed to be reading for the Reading Rush. You might have seen that I'm supposed to be reading Of Curses and Kisses by Sandhya Anand. This is going to be my second audiobook. I'm currently working on my first audiobook, which we'll talk about in a minute. We have things to say about it. Oh, I'm also supposed to be reading Once Upon a Time Reawakened, and that is, I don't know what prompts these are all counting for. I wrote them down somewhere. That's all that matters. So those are the 2 that I have not started reading. What I have started reading is my current audiobook, which is The Warrior Maiden by Melanie Dickerson. It is exactly the mess that I thought it was going to be, only worse. So we're going to discuss that in just a minute when I get into talking about it. But I'm also reading, I don't know that you can actually even see it, but it's on my Kindle because I haven't, oh yeah, I haven't downloaded it to my Kindle because I don't have Wi-Fi at work. But I'm also reading The Other Bennett Sister by Janice Hadlow, I believe is her name. Not entirely, I don't. And then I'm going to be adding other books throughout the week. This month I'm really trying on getting my NetGalley count up, percentage, whatever it's called. So I also have Resist and Persist by Erin Wathen, or Wathen. She is a pastor in a church in Kansas, and this seems to be mostly about the intersection of faith and feminism. I got this last year when I was like, really, last year or the year before, I don't remember, but I got it when I was kind of looking for more social justice books that had to do with faith, and I happened to see this on NetGalley, and I requested it along with like 15 other titles, and then NetGalley approved me for like most of them. I was expecting to get turned down on maybe all but one, but no, they had to be like, oh yeah, here, this is all candy. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what's happening. you know, all the popular books I got turned down on. That means I need to add 1, 2, 3. I need to add 2 more books. I have some comic books that I'm probably going to read because I would like to have read them and be able to say it's just really sad that I say I gush about books and Batman, Batman being an allegory for all comic book characters, and then, or a stand-in, and then I haven't read anything that is considered even remotely a graphic novel in at least 3 months. So, yeah. Books that I have actually, in fact, read and worked on and haven't talked about yet. So, look at this. Isn't it so pretty? I love this painting. It's my favorite painting in all of painting history. The only thing that could make it better is if it was purple. But there's some indigo in there. But just look, it's so pretty. And now the rest of my vlog will be 10 minutes of us staring at my Kindle case. So the other bit it says, I'm only like a chapter and a half into this book, and I'm already loving it because she has done such a good job of capturing Jane Austen's style, of making it sound like she actually has quotes from Jane Austen, especially Pride and Prejudice, in this book. And she's worked them into the narrative so it's not like really obvious, but like, Jane Austen could have written this book, like, just from a glancing, like, I'm sure if you sat down and you actually analyzed it, you'd be able to tell 2 different people wrote this book. But just from kind of like an, you know, brief observation that just kind of not really digging into it, just reading it, beautiful. I'm already like, this is going to be fun. I always wonder if I should keep the arcs on my Kindle after I have a vampire book. The Vampire of Mapletown. Has anyone heard of that? Is it any good? Ha, there it is. I found it. So yeah, I'm like 5 pages in because that's all I was able to get by the time I had downloaded Kindle onto my phone and then downloaded the book onto my Kindle and come on, work with me here, please. Download. Now we're gonna spend 5 minutes talking about everything I don't like about The Warrior Maiden by Melanie Dickerson. It is actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be, judging it by the first 2 chapters. This is my current audiobook, and it is a Mulan retelling set in Europe. So I do like some of the points that she is making about toxic masculinity. I do like some of the points that are being made. This is going to be the longest intro to any of my vlogs ever. I apologize. I also apologize for not being able to stay on point. Welcome to my life. She's been making points about like how people should be treated, and the fact that, you know, like this, and I like the fact that, you know, there's this idea, because it's ingrained in the Mulan mythos, that girls don't have to just be wives and mothers. My issue is that she, in my opinion, chose the absolute worst way to bring a Chinese girl into Europe. Like, it's not even like I was expecting to go into this. Oh, by the way, she's also overusing the clumsy girl trope. Why is it always when you have the clumsy girl trope, it's not girls like running into tables and like tripping over their shoes because they're walking on a flat surface and not in heels. I'm fine when I am in heels. For some reason, I don't trip. Put me in flats on my face. But like, she's almost like slapstick clumsy in the first chapter. And like one of the cases, it was okay. I was like okay with it because a pig ran into her. Okay, you know, you trip over a piglet sometimes, you're not gonna stay. But then she just did enough, like, basically did the whole banana peel thing except with soup. And I was just like, oh my gosh, why is this so bad? My biggest issue though with this book, and the reason that this book is not gonna get a high rating, I'm still going to read it because it is an arc I got and I said I would review it. And I don't know what happened. Somebody did not, I don't think we had a sensitivity reader on this one. Oh, we probably did. She probably just did. Maybe we did and she just didn't listen to them. But this is like low-key, obviously, cultural appropriation. Number one, Mulan is not a fairy tale in the sense that, like some of the other things, like Sleeping Beauty, she has, it's an entire series of fairy tale retellings. But like Mulan is not a fairy tale in the sense that Sleeping Beauty and like Rapunzel and Snow White and Cinderella, those are all very European fairy tales. They belong together. She's taken and put a Asian fairy tale, or Asian, not an Asian fairy tale, but an Asian myth, an Asian folklore. And she's put it into a European setting, and Mulan is the only Chinese character. Like, it's just barely mentioned how she ended up coming to Lithuania. We're calling her Mulan. We have no other elements of Chinese culture in this, which, I mean, would probably just make the appropriation worse. But, like, and he's basically kidnapped this child who's possibly his and possibly not. And I'm just like, oh, this is an allegory, but it's not an allegory for the things you think it is. But I just, like, it's just barely touched on. And then, like, it's occasionally been mentioned that people notice that she's different, because obviously a Chinese person is going to look very different from a Lithuanian. But I just, like, people have been making points. Like, I think that, number one, if she was going to do this story, there are much better ways to have done it that would be less appropriative and maybe have, like, that's really what gets me. Like, I know it would still be appropriative if she was including Chinese culture, but she didn't make any effort to, like, still have Mulan connected to her culture. I'm just having a time. It's not as bad now that we've gotten into the actual story and things are happening. It's just like the occasional thing of internalized misogyny that's happening, and I'm just like, oh, okay, this is fun. But it's not like a huge red flag. It's just more of a, Did I rant? I think I ranted. I'm just sitting here going, oh, I'm going to take so many notes on what not to do, ever. Like, it never, I say that as someone who wants to retell fairy tales. It would never, in a million years, have occurred to me to be like, oh, maybe I should throw Mulan in there. Because that's not my story to tell. I would love to live in a world where it doesn't matter who is telling what story, but we don't. So until we live in that world, I'm not going to tell those stories. I doubt we will live in that world while I am alive. Came home from work and changed straight into my workout clothes because that's what I'm doing next. And I see no reason to change clothes again. Anyways, we have a timer. We're gonna set it for 5 minutes so I don't ramble for 25 like last time. Work with me here. Thank you. Alright, so let's talk about some books, guys. We have done some reading since I last spoke with you. I am through the first chapter of Resist and Persist, and I am so pleasantly surprised because you really just never know when you've got white Christian evangelists or speakers or etc., whatever you want to call them, writing books. You never know at this point. I've heard so many horror stories about how people that, like, anyways, but just in this first chapter and the introduction, she's already mentioned intersectionality. She's already mentioned that she's going to be covering racism. Let's see, she has a list of things that she's going to be covering: poverty, racism, access to health care, family leave and healthy family life, human trafficking, sex assault, and domestic violence in this book. She said there are chapters devoted to each of them. This is all about taking down the patriarchy. And I am very happy with that. And when I say patriarchy, I'm talking about it in the feminist sense, not in the sense of, like, there is a household that has a man at the head of it. The way feminists look at patriarchy is it's this idea that men are naturally better than women. Basically, she's talking about the fact that despite what the structure of the early church was before Constantine got a hold of my religion, I mean, technically it wasn't my religion then because A, I wasn't born, and then B, and clearly from somewhere in England or Germany. We have no idea. And we haven't looked back into it because I just know that one side of me is descended from a pirate. Or takes our name from a pirate. We may not be descended from him because no one actually knows who he is. Anyways, but this is why we have a timer right now. Okay, Margaret, focus. She's going into the fact that church leadership just doesn't seem to put women in roles of leadership. And she said that's not biblical. That's not how the early church ran. And she's making the case for that in this book. And I am quite happy that not only is she making the case for that, but it's not like your trademark white feminist with a capital W and capital F. It's like she's like, this is affecting every single problem that we have in the church, is this idea that white men are superior to everyone else. So there's that. I'm glad that I picked this up. I'm glad I requested it on NetGalley. I have hope for this book. I'm sure she could still, like, totally crash that hope and handle things poorly. but I have hope for this book. The Other Bennett Sister. This is really, whoops, I probably shouldn't show you the page I'm on. I'm on chapter like 17, 18, something like that. I am enjoying it. I think it's been a little bit slow to start. Personally, I would have liked to see us jump into the action and then get the information, because it starts out with a very Pride and Prejudice chapter, exactly like Jane Austen would have written it. And then you kind of see the author transition a little bit into more of her own style and Mary's character. And so we get like 2 or 3 or 4 chapters of just straight up backstory before we even start getting into conflict. So she does a great, like, she sets up the scene. She sets up the scene. And I wish that instead of taking these 2 or 3 chapters to set up the scene outside of that first chapter, because that was so Pride and Prejudice and I loved it. I have 45 seconds left, guys, that's fine. Outside of that first scene, those chapter 2, 3, and 4, I think it was, like those backstory chapters, I wish instead of putting them all the way at the beginning, I wish we had seen them worked, those moments that are in them, because they're important moments to really know and understand the character of Mary in this book. I wish we had seen them worked into the narrative after we have gotten to the conflict. That's what I wish we had seen. I have 18 seconds left. I'm not going to talk all that much more about the Mulan retelling, because while it hasn't gotten worse, but it's also not getting better. And we're gonna leave it at that. All right, we've got the timer going. I just hit myself in the eye. Great. Is there a way to do this where you can actually see my face? Because I don't want to hold the camera. I want to just like, there. Now I don't have to support the camera. So I have finished The Warrior Maiden by Melanie Dickerson. Not my favorite book I've ever read. I gave it 2 stars. It almost managed to be a 3-star book, except the ending. Let's just say I revoke all of the points that it got for discussing toxic masculinity. Out here looking a mess, as usual. This is probably why I only have 600 subscribers. I appreciate you, though. All 621 of you. Thank you for dealing with my messy. So, thank you for being here, despite the fact that I apparently make crap content. Anyways, so, this happened. I don't know how this happened, but it did. I got through most of this book, and we're getting to the point where it's yes. Oh man, I'm so close to having to completely redo my shelf, guys. Anyways, I am going to run out of audiobook before I run out of reading rush. I hadn't planned for this. I guess I could listen to my podcast. I could do that. I also have The Forgotten Girl by India Hill Brown that I'm thinking about throwing in there. You know, why not get 8 books during the reading rush? We could do that too. Let's try for 7 first. I think most of what I'm going to be doing this weekend is reading and filming videos for booktube VEDA, because have learned nothing from my past experience on YouTube and think I can put up a video every single day. I didn't even do that for this week. Of course, those are vlogs, so that makes things a little bit harder. But, so I'm going to curl up with, oh, she's over there. Oh, let's switch hands. I'm going to curl up with my ebook, and I'm going to read it, which is what you do with books. Update time, and y'all get to deal with the fact that I'm going to be eating and updating you at the same time, because I don't need my fries to get any colder than they already are. I've missed this restaurant. I finally was like, you know what, screw it. I want 5 Guys. I'm going out there to get it. We finished a book. Wow, my bed is really unkempt right now. We have finished a book. Second book of the reading rush. I was not planning on this, as I mentioned. This was supposed to last me through the weekend, and now I have to figure out, who am I kidding? Stop falling over, my goodness. I'm gonna listen to Taylor Swift all weekend. That's probably, I'm not sure about that. So here's my thing. While I like this new album, I think it is lyrically amazing. Like, I love the sound of the songs individually. It doesn't have, like, her other albums for me have had more variety, I guess is what I'm looking at when it comes to the sound of the songs. Because you have, like on Lover, you have Lover and songs that are real nice and soft. And then you have those really fun upbeat songs like Paper Rings and I Think He Knows. I love those songs. They're my favorite songs on that album. And for me, that's one of the things I like about Taylor's albums is she takes you and she gives you those soft songs, but she also gives you the crazy upbeat ones. Where are my napkins? There they are. So, like, this is a really good album. It's just one that I feel like it's not going to be one that's on repeat as much as the others, because the others I can put in and know that at some point there is going to be a song that fits my mood. This one, it feels more like I'm going to have to be in a specific mood for this album. Does that make me a weak Taylor Swift fan? I'm not sure. Anyways, I gave this bad boy 5 freaking stars because I loved it. It was so, like, I liked the retelling, and I liked the, I don't know if there's actually magic involved. I'm not sure about that. These fries are so good. I just love them so much. And I haven't even gotten to my burger yet. I really liked it. I just like Sandhya Menon's style of writing and the way she likes to tell stories and the way she likes to be in both characters' heads. And I like the places that she takes them and the fact that, like, both people are being equally stupid at times. There are things that she could have done with this story that she didn't, but I really appreciated. I don't remember what they were, but I remember thinking, this is usually where we would have this plot point, but we're not having it. I like that. Well, see, I'm excited for I'm kind of excited for the next book. I really just want another book of these two people. Really is what I want. But I suppose I will have to deal with the fact that the main character, or the male love interest in this one, well, both characters in this one, but especially the male love interest, is a really good friend of the guy for the next one. So, we are currently about 42% through the other Bennett sister. And something just happened. And I am not happy about it. I thought we were setting up for a reconciliation, okay? That's what I thought we were setting up for. I thought we were setting up for a good old seize their worth reconciliation. I really wanted that to happen, and then I'm not happy. Very much not happy with what happened. What's going on. I'm barely reading this with Kara over at Wild Book Garden. She mentioned that she likes that it's not a straight up just Pride and Prejudice retelling. Because I was concerned. I was getting concerned that like most of it was going to be a retelling of Pride and Prejudice and like the moments but that we don't see in Pride and Prejudice, which I was okay with. I was like, okay, I'll sign up for that. It is also partially a Pride and Prejudice sequel though. So I'm cool with that. I like this. I like this idea a little bit. Right now we're in the section that is like, I'm going to make you hate everyone that you liked in the original, and I'm just like, do we have to be making these people bad people? Like, they are unaware of what Mary is going through, and that is partly Mary's fault because Mary's not telling anyone because she consistently undervalues herself, so she's not confiding in anyone and telling them what's bugging her. We're starting to get to the ones that are actually cold. It's fine, I'll just move on to the burger. This used to be my Friday night meal every single Friday night because it makes me happy and it makes me feel joy. And then COVID happened. I also don't work where I used to work. It was a lot easier to go to my local Five Guys where I used to work and just like kind of have that be on the way home, and now I kind of have to go further from home to get to Five Guys, but it's fine. I haven't touched Resist and Persist in a couple of days, so I will probably have to read some of that tonight, and I am going to have to read some of the other Bennett sisters tonight because I am behind, because I am weak and kept falling asleep. Was it Wednesday night? I couldn't stay awake. It just wasn't happening. Oh, and I still have to go downstairs and like, so I'm gonna get personal here for a minute, and I'm gonna talk about something that you probably shouldn't do unless you are me. Just if you have issues with like talking about food restriction, don't watch this next part. I'm not actually, like, I'm gonna still be getting calories and stuff, but I'm doing something tomorrow because my skin is the way it is, and we've gotten to the point that just, like, food in general makes my leaky gut flare up. If you don't know, I have eczema and asthma. and they're both actually probably caused by a condition called leaky gut. And what leaky gut is your gut leaks, obviously, but it's basically the lining of your intestine, instead of being nice and tight and the way it's supposed to be, they're looser. And so things that are not supposed to be getting into your bloodstream get into your bloodstream and cause allergic reactions. Most people who have allergies also have leaky gut. I was diagnosed when I was very small. Sometimes, like, the only thing that will, and I'm getting to a point where I probably should do this more often than I do, but it's just such a pain because I like food and I like eating and I like, you know, anyways. So basically the only thing I can do is to go on like a very bland kind of restrictive diet where it's like the blandest of bland stuff that will allow my gut to heal. And it's been a while since I've done that, and I've known I needed to for a while. So that's what we're doing this weekend. We're gonna be doing a semi-fast almost for medical reasons. Those medical reasons being my skin is fed up with me, and I'm fed up with it being fed up with me. So I want to, like, I refuse to do it on a regular basis because I don't think that's healthy. I just don't. I don't like being hungry either, so I'm not gonna go, you know, whole hog. But it also definitely helps my skin condition. Would it be a Margaret vlog if my laundry did not make a cameo? No, it wouldn't. So I should probably grab my book so I can talk to you. So Bookly thinks that I took 8 hours and 42 minutes to read like 12 pages last night because I was so tired I forgot to pause my Bookly app. So I woke up this morning, I was like, oh, whoops. Luckily, when I figured it out, I know I stopped reading right at midnight because that was my cutoff. So I know exactly how I need to adjust my time. So anyways, good morning. It is Saturday, the 25th of July. Hi guys. Saturday, the 25th of July, and if you thought me being on a super bland diet today was going to keep me from drinking my tea, no. No, it's not. Yes. I will probably end up drinking quite a bit of green tea today just because that's one of the teas that I can drink. Because it's supposed to, I think that's the one that's supposed to be good for gut health. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm not giving up tea. Not when we're in the middle of a readathon, and I'm going to try and stay up until midnight. And I also need to film today. So today I have to do chores. That should only take me like maybe an hour, hour and a half, thankfully. I do need to clean my room too. So 2 hours, who knows? I don't have an audio. How did I manage to? Oh wait, I do have an audiobook. I have, what is the name of it? Hold on, let's borrow that. I'm not going to read that one right now, but I'll borrow it. Apparently Pachinko came in for me. Thanks. Readathon's been over for 3 weeks now. Thank you very much. And yeah, we're not Aurora Burning. We are not borrowing yet. We will wait for that one. Anyways, but I do have the book pick for the currently reading book club that Mrs. Dunn Reads is doing. Oh, look, there's Mrs. Dunn Reads. A notification. It's Other Words for Home by Jasmine Warga. Look at this. Can I get a picture of this cover? That's not what I wanted you to do. Okay, do you see this cover? Look at how pretty that is. Like all of the colors and everything. So I'm going to probably put this in and listen to it. Let's just go to Loans and download it now. We'll see how well that works. Usually, I think with books in verse, what I really need to do instead of listening to them as audiobooks, I really need to like read them as I am listening to them, because for poetry I am not at the point with, which means I don't really read poetry basically, but like I like it, I just have to be able to see how it is structured on the page for it to really hit with me. So like at the moment I haven't had a book in verse go above 4 stars, but I think that's partly because of how I have been consuming them. We're gonna try and finish this today, even though I haven't picked it up. And then my goal for the other Bennett sister is to get caught up to where I'm supposed to be. So I am aware that this has just gotten messier since you last saw it. I filmed today, so everything that was on the bookshelves that was not a book or a tchotchke that I keep on my bookshelves, it went on the bed, because occasionally I just kind of put things on my bookshelves because I don't know where else to put them. Real quick unboxing because I like bragging on people who send me nice things, even when I paid for them. But I just got my candles from Page Turning Candle Co. This is by India over at Life is a Page Turn. India makes candles, and I just was like, well, I need candles. I love candles. Candles are one of my favorite things to like, you know how some people collect purses? Candles for me. I mean, like, I like purses and I like shoes, and I will collect those as well. At some point in my life, when I have the money to have more than 3 pairs of shoes that actually fit me and work, and don't just sit in my closet because they are not quite the right size. Anyways, so I got 3 different candles. I got this one. It's Fantasy. Let's see, come on, let's do this. I did this so well. There we go. I've got Fantasy. This one smells, at the moment, it kind of smells like baby powder, but it's just so nice and clean and fresh and exciting. Like, it smells like excitement. Yeah, it smells like excitement feels. So I can't wait to do this. I'm having a hard time picking which one of these. These are all very, like, clean, fresh scents, and I like that because I don't have a lot of candles that are clean, fresh scents. I have a lot that are, like, floral or vanilla. The limit does not exist for the amount of vanilla candles that I will buy because I just, vanilla is my scent. I also have this one that is sci-fi. Okay. This one smells like really a little spicy and like very, very sharp. And like, what is the, not like antiseptic, but very, very clean and technological. Does that make sense? I feel like these scents are so great for what they're supposed to like. I'm like, I can see a spaceship smelling like this. And then the final one, the pièce de résistance, is this one. It's called Library, and it smells like a brand new book. Oh no, wait, there's a little bit of a smoke scent to it. I can't wait. I think this is the first one I'm going to burn because, like, it's funny. They smell really strong when you're, like, sticking your nose here. Wait, can I do the thing that they do it? I don't think I can with these guys. Because I know at Yankee Candle Co. they do this thing, but it's glass lids and they're different shaped lids. Anyways, so I am going to burn one of these tonight, and hopefully my asthma will allow me to do that. It's been better the last couple of days. So, I also got these little melts that India sent for us to figure out which one we want for the next candle, or to help pick the next candle. And there's one in here called Strudel and Spices, and I'm already mad that I couldn't buy it before. It smells like Belgian waffles, and I love it. I have a Belgian waffles candle from Yankee Candle Co. But this smells even better because it smells like spun sugar, and let me see it. Oh my gosh, I love it. This one got a little beat up, just a little bit. They're unicorns and a book, and this book got broken in half, but I could just sniff this all day. It smells so nice. It's like a little bit of cinnamon and sugar, and I love it. This is another one of my favorite scents, is like cinnamon sugar scents. And then I have a jasmine one that I absolutely adore. Like, I would die for this game. Not really, but you know what I mean. Good morning, everyone. I will give you an actual update later. However, I was coming out here because, okay, where am I going to put my tea? Oh, I could have done a tea. Oh, well. There is tea. I've made tea. I've done so many tea making montages. It's just like kind of boring. Okay, anyways, so I am sitting down with, hold on if I can work with this. I'm sitting down with Black Panther, Avengers of the New World Part 1 by Ta-Nehisi Coates, to do the Reading Outside Your House challenge, because I am outside of my house. The porch counts. I'm just going to say that. So we're going to start reading. I've already entered it into Bookly, and we're ready to go. I'm going to just sit out here for like maybe an hour, and then I'll go inside and I'll film, because I need to film. But I also need my hair to dry. Well, actually, technically I need to write scripts first, but you know what? Nobody cares about that. going to bother making my bed because I'm going to change my sheets today anyways. I just finished Black Panther, Avengers of the New World Part 1. I think there is a volume, I don't know if there's a volume between this and the last volume I read in the Ta-Nehisi Coates, what's the word, line, like, title. Not sure. But definitely something has happened. It does say, like, so it's weird, because this lead up in here where it's explaining what happened before, because most graphic novels, most bind-ups will have, like, this is what happened before, so you know what happened before. That's always been enough for me to kind of be like, oh, okay. Because I'm used to reading comics. I'm used to being like, oh, this is probably in another volume, this is probably another storyline. I like it when they're like, asterisk, read here. Anyways, so I think that either there is another Black Panther title or event that has happened, or I'm missing a few issues. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to see if I can find what happens between, what is the name of the one I read last? Oh my god, Nation Under Our Feet, there we go. And this particular bind-up. However, I didn't feel like I needed to have read that to understand what was going on here. I felt like they did a really good job of explaining it. I also love Coates' writing style. I just, his humor, the sibling antics and banter that's going on, like Chala and Shuri, I love them as siblings. They are a fantastic, like, it's not quite what we get in the movie because Shuri is much older in the comics, but I still adore it, and I love watching them. Also, Aurora was in this. If you don't know, I wasn't allowed to watch X-Men as a child for reasons that I don't remember. I don't think I was ever told. I'm not sure. I think it might have had to do something to do with the fact that they were mutants and evolution is mentioned. I don't know. But Storm was my favorite character. I know we've watched, like, we managed to sneak a couple of episodes of the 90s X-Men show because we were bad children. Listen, we were the children that we watched Beast Wars, and we knew it was one that Mom wouldn't like, so eventually we're just like, can you please watch this show so that we can watch it, please? And she didn't have a problem with Beast Wars. Anyone else remember Beast Wars? My gosh. Tigron was my favorite. So far, we have finished, what, 3 books? I'm almost done a 4th, and then I've got 5 and 6. So I really only need to read one more book, and I'll have gotten to 7. So the real question is not, will I have completed all the prompts? The real question is, will I be able to read 7 books? Look, it's the 2nd day in a row that you were seeing me with makeup. That never happens. Oh gosh, where did I put my book? There it is. Okay, so I have officially finished Resist and Persist. This was really good. I added this to my Amazon wishlist because I do want this to be on my nonfiction shelves. I think that is a really good book to have, to go back to reference. I especially am interested, she has so many notes on things in the back that I really want to look up and read some of the stuff that she used. The one comment I do wish, so she talks a lot about scripture and how it doesn't support certain ideas that are in the church, and I wish she had used a little bit more scriptural analysis to go into that, to delve into what the scriptures actually say in the Christian Bible. But overall, I thought it was a really good book and a really good thought process. I really appreciated her take on abortion and how we as Christians, if we are against abortion, should be handling that, and the fact that making it illegal is not really an effective way to do so. Like, it does not stop them from happening. And that's part of why I made the political changes that I made, is because even when I was gung-ho pro-life, I still was realizing that the things that the pro-life movement was doing, they were not actually helping to fix the root of the problem. And the things that do that make abortion rates fall. There's a great article about how pro-life is more about controlling women's bodies than it is about actually, what is the word, about reducing abortions. And that is because, like, birth control, sex education, better healthcare, those are all much more effective at reducing abortion rates in countries. And yet we're not, the pro-life movement has no desire to be involved in those. And so that just, like, that's really what started radicalizing. He was realizing that so many things that were like politically, the right is politically, their political ideologies, like they're pursuing but what is it? They're pursuing the path that leads to control versus the path that actually leads to solving the issue. Sometimes you have to look at the method and how effective that is going to be versus the rhetoric. That's the word I was looking for earlier, the rhetoric. So anyways, I enjoyed that. I have to go and pick up groceries in about an hour, so I think I'm gonna curl up with the other Bennett sister and try and get through a good chunk of that. And then I will probably be picking up Avengers of the World Part 2 later on, since those I seem to be able to read that pretty fast. I think like manga for me sometimes can take a little longer, but I am doing a thing tonight with some friends. We're going to be watching Pride and Prejudice, so I'm saving all of my like food prep time for then. Y'all, this book, look at this. This book, this gets 5 stars. It almost had me crying in my car. Almost. It's real. I mean, that's real close. That doesn't happen often, my friends. Not often at all. So, I loved it. I'm so happy that I have my own copy coming. Oh my gosh, it's on sale, or was on sale on Amazon. So, anyways. Yes, I am excited to get this in my hands and be able to add it to my shelves because I need more middle grade on my shelves. So I'm happy that this is happening. Anyways, now that that's done, we're going to pick this sucker up and we are going to read it because I want to know what happens next in the story. So, I'm going that way. Y'all cannot see the laundry, but the laundry is there. Anyways, my bed's a mess because I'm going to be remaking it soon. There's a vlog that'll have footage of what all of this means. You probably don't care. So let's talk about the reading rush. If you don't know, the reading rush kind of fell flat on its face towards the end of the readathon, and that was after stumbling a couple of times, apparently. I know there was some discussion of some of the prompts not being inclusive enough, and I think I understand where people are coming from for that with as big as this readathon is, and really honestly considering that there's not a lot that's inaccessible to me, really don't have an opinion on it, honestly. I mean, I do have an opinion, but I don't feel like my opinion is the one you should listen to. What I do have an opinion on is people goofing up when it comes to allyship, and I'm not going to say I'm perfect because I have goofed up myself, mostly in personal ways between friends. I think the biggest thing that probably you might have heard of is they did not read the group book, and then they proceeded to not take the fact that they did not read the group book seriously, which I think is an issue. If you are going to highlight something, if you are going to say you're an ally and that you want to give people a platform and, you know, give a platform to marginalized authors, you need to put in the work to do that. You can't just say, yeah, I put in the, you know, I think we should support marginalized authors and then not do it. I hope that it's clear on my channel that it's obvious that I am conscious of the fact that there are lots of voices out there that do not get heard because we talk so much about the Cassandra Clares and the Sarah J. Maas's and the Labor Dugos and the John Greens and all of that. And so I like to highlight or make sure that I am seeking out diverse representation, because I know that a lot of the time, if I'm not looking for it, I'm not going to find it. That's one of the big things that I always look for, especially when it comes to authors of color, because I know that it is much harder for an author of color to be not successful, but to make a career of this that is as lucrative as some of the white authors that are out, as most of the white authors that are out there. If that concept is kind of weird to you, go look up the hashtag publishing paid me and see the disparity in what publishing was paying black women and other authors of color versus what they were paying white authors. I was about to say white authors of color. That makes no sense, Margaret. Anyways, the other thing they did is they released their prompt video on Juneteenth, which if it was the average Canadian citizen, I'd be like, okay, I can see how maybe they didn't know. because it is a United States thing. I don't know I know there's a Canada Day. I don't know when it is. And I'm pretty sure that Christine is going to be in the comments telling me when it is. But, like, I understand not being aware of holidays in other countries for the average citizen. I just feel like if you are putting yourself out there as a public figure that is reaching out to people in both the United States and Canada, and as not a corporation, but like an entity that is going to be out there saying Black Lives Matter, I think you should do your due diligence in that to educate yourself. It's more than just like when we talk about educating yourself, it's more than just reading a book about someone who's different than you. It's going in and looking to find out what you're missing. And I know there's a lot of talk about how Juneteenth isn't taught in schools, which is a crime because it's a significant event in the lives of a portion of our country, a pretty, decent portion of our country. We do not do a good job teaching Black history in this country. So, like, I'm never surprised to find out that people don't know these things. But I'm always sad to find out that they don't, because I think we lose so much of our cultural heritage when we focus only on the white men who led the country. I think we lose so much of our heritage when we don't talk about the things that happen, and I think we lose an opportunity for growth when we whitewash and sanitize our history to make ourselves look better. And when I say ourselves, I mean white people. I did not know that they had put that video out on Juneteenth, because if I had known that, that signals something to me. And what it signals to me is that this is something I wouldn't want to be involved in. Now, I know some of the people that are around them, and so I am watching them. I'm watching those people that have been in conversation with them, talking to them about why things are harmful. And so I'm going to withhold my full judgment about whether or not I will participate next year. It is contingent on seeing how, they've addressed it, but it is contingent on seeing what they put in place to not make the mistakes that they made this year. I do believe in giving people room for growth and supporting them in that growth. But I also, I'm not gonna mess with you if you're not showing it. So I need to see the actions before I'm gonna, I want to see action, and if I see action, I will respond to that action. But if I don't see action, I'm not gonna respond to that action. That's basically my kind of take on any sort of like big public social online mess up, is that I will wait to see what your action is going to be, and to see not just what your words are, although sometimes you can be a pretty good judge of what people are going to do based on their words. But I like to hope that when people say they're going to do better, they will actually do better. And so we'll see if they do better. Still waiting for an actual apology to come out. But again, because I'm not the one affected, not for me to accept that apology. Now that we have discussed that, because I do feel like that's something that needs to be discussed, and I do hope that this is a lesson to others, it's a lesson to me, definitely. It's nice being a small channel, because like when people mess up like this, I can be like, noted. This is how I should not handle this situation. Because sometimes I'll look at something, I'll be like, I feel like this is a pretty decent way to handle something, and then people will point out why it was not a decent way to handle. I was like, okay, you know what, you're right. Let's discuss the books that I read. Ooh, speaking of, I don't want to say bad white allyship, because only one of them was white, but speaking of bad white allyship, let's talk about The Warrior Maiden by Melanie Dickerson. I gave this 2 stars. I'm going to rant about this for a minute, and I will put up a spoiler warning when I get into spoilers, but I do want to kind of preface why I'm so mad about, or why the cultural appropriation just rubs me the wrong way. Partly because Mulan as a character is tokenized and not not well done. From everything that I have seen and read and that I currently know from research that I have done myself, in general, regardless of Mulan's race, this is bad representation. Like, just, she is the only Chinese character in the narrative. She is not connected at all to China, to her heritage, or part of her heritage. And so that bothers me. And part of why that bothers me is because, this is something like if you're not a writer and you're not seeking out these stories and you're white, because people who are Chinese and people who are East Asian know this. People who are not white know this. It is so much harder we have this, let me just point this, I'm gonna bring this to a specific example. Shannon Hale wrote, oh gosh, who was the author? I can't remember who the author was. Okay, Shannon Hale wrote a blog post. Editing Margaret here because I got my story slightly mixed up. Please forgive the fact that my makeup is coming off. I filmed today. Just deal with it. But I got the story wrong, and what Shannon Hale was talking about, what brought her to the realization that she as a white author was appropriating someone else's culture, was that she had her book repackaged as a paperback. And when they did the paperback, they actually put an Asian model on the front instead of putting a white model on the front, because the book was about an Asian character who is from Mongolia. And so she noticed that that book wasn't selling. She was like looking at royalty statements, that kind of stuff. And she realized that it was purely because there was an Asian character on the cover. That then kind of led her to realize that not only did that book sell less, but still she as a white author was more likely to be given to children because she was a white author versus an Asian author who wrote an Asian inspired story. So that's the context of the blog post, which I will link below so that you can read it because it's really, really thoughtful. And so the reason that it frustrates me that she's taking these stories that on the outside it looks like, oh, she's just retelling her favorite Disney movies, but the thing that gets me is that there are people out there who are Chinese and want to retell Mulan, and they're being told that it's been done before. I swear, every time we have a retelling that is done by a person of color, we start talking about how it's been done before. But we have all of these white authors that have done these stories. We don't get mad about that. We just get mad specifically when it's a person of color. Not mad. We just slam the door in their faces. So that's part of why. It's not about skill. It is simply the fact that white people get published more and paid more when they are published. Again, we have data that backs this up. I know that Melanie Dickerson is an established author and she's got a platform and all of this, and I know that someone who so that's part of why it made me mad. So now we're getting into the spoilers part. I was expecting for Mulan's mother or father to be at least Chinese, which is true. Her mother was Chinese, but she was raised by two white people because her father went and had an affair when he was over in the East. It's hinted at that maybe she's his kid, but I don't think it's ever actually outright stated. She is the child of a woman he met and was with in the Middle East, and he brought her back because his wife in Europe could not have children. And I was just like, hold up. Like, the fact that she was trying to retell Mulan in a European setting was gonna be a tricky subject anyways, but now you're basically telling me that this man took this child, who maybe wasn't his child, from her culture, and she has no links to that. And that is a problem. That is a huge problem, and that's a problem that we see today when you have white people adopting children who are not white. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't be, because kids need parents, and sometimes if you're, for example, if you're adopting through the foster system, you don't got a choice. But still. But then the other thing, oh my gosh, the thing, like, this might have gotten a 3-star because it was really good about kind of going after toxic masculinity. Not good, but it was doing a decent job. And I wasn't terribly, like, Mulan as a character was good, and And then, I'm pretty sure, like, I was so mad, I just kind of was in a rage towards the end, but I'm pretty sure we did the whole, oh, she's getting married now, so she's gonna retire and not be a soldier so she can, you know, be married and have babies. And I just was like, why couldn't she just continue being a soldier? Why couldn't that happen? Why couldn't we do that? The next book that I finished was Of Curses and Kisses by Sandhya Menon. This I gave 5 stars. I don't think it is quite as well written as her Dimpleverse books. I think if you know, sat down and looked at the plot and stuff, there would be some, small issues. But in the end, it still gave me the 5-star fuzzies. I still loved it. I'm a sucker for fairy tale retellings. I love them. So I just was happy about this. And, okay, people are going to wonder why I'm not mad about a Indian woman retelling Beauty and the Beast with an Indian main character, but I'm mad about a white woman retelling. And again, it goes back to the fact that Sandhya Menon had to fight so hard to have her books published and have them be Indian main characters. And also the fact that she is not assimilating, but she is adapting the dominant culture versus the dominant culture appropriating another culture, or a culture that they have historically dismissed. I loved it. It came through. It rescued me. I was happy that I read it. I'm glad I have it. It's very good. I really liked how she reinterpreted the fairy tales and how she did it in a way that it wasn't like this big grand reinterpretation. It was very like subtle in a lot of ways. And I really liked that. That was good. After that, we finished Resist and Persist by Aaron Wathan. I really enjoyed this. I think we talked a little bit about this. I gave it 4 stars. I do, like I said, and did I say earlier? I do wish we had maybe gotten a little bit more like source material in this versus just her thoughts, because while I understood a lot of where she was coming from, I would have liked, I just would have liked some more stuff in the text itself to back it up, so that anyone who is going into this as kind of a primer or as a new concept is not having to do a lot of background research, because I feel like a lot of it is stuff that if you're not aware of where she's pulling from, some of this is stuff that's really easy to dismiss. The next one I finished was Black Panther, Adventure of the New World. I'm going to talk about volumes 1 and 2 at the same time. I have really been enjoying what Coates is doing with having Chala really wrestle with government. And I think that he's kind of in this particular part of the title, he's kind of gotten to this place where he has accepted it, and he's not conflicted about it anymore. He knows what needs to be done, and so now it's just a matter of him being like, okay, now I have to sell it to everyone else and get everyone else to kind of go along with this vision of Wakanda being democratic. And so I really like that, and I like the fact that it kind of pokes fun at how difficult it can be to when you're, running a democracy. The next book I finished was Other Words for Home by Jasmine Warga. Yes, I loved this. This was so cute. It was cute. It was heartbreaking in places. I cannot tell you how I felt about the end, except that I loved it, and it was sweet and happy and sad and good all at the same time. And I gave it 5 stars. Oh, I gave the Black Panther volumes 4 stars, by the way, but I gave this 5 stars. And it's the first time that I've had a book in verse that I've given 5 stars. I've read a few and really enjoyed them, but they've always kind of left something to be desired for me. And this just, maybe it's because it was a middle grade, and so I wasn't expecting quite as much of a wrap-up, or as much of a, here's kind of a look into their future. So the ending kind of felt better to me. But for me, that's usually what kind of falls flat, is the ending of the book of books in verse, because I'm just like, I wanted a little more there. That's just the end. That's it. At least for the ones that I have read. And then the final book that I read for this readathon was The Other Bennett Sister by Janice Hadlow. I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars. I think there were places where she really just recycled Pride and Prejudice. And it wasn't like she was recycling, well, there was an entire scene where she recycled a scene from Pride and Prejudice, basically. But it was more that she would have these random lines in there. It was decent. It was okay. I liked it. I thought it was good. I would recommend it if you're looking for Jane Austen retellings, but it is not the best thing I have ever read. Not even close by a long shot. However, I am still happy that I read it. I thought that the romance between, well, I thought that Mary's Journey was good. Those are all of the books that I read during that week. Technically, it was like a week and 3 days. I did not finish off. I saw what went down and was just like, all right, I don't need to finish this book tonight. I'm not even going to try. No more effort for this readathon. That was me that night. So I didn't finish 7 books in a week, but that's fine because I still finished like 6 of them. Let me know down below if you have read any of these books or something that you have read recently, something you read and loved recently. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, there might be more videos over here that you will enjoy. You're already on YouTube. Why not click on one of them? That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!